more special than that.
You know what's really cool as well, of course, I already mentioned both these guys 9-1 this tournament, but it's very awkward and weird almost, but these two have never played against each other in a competitive environment. I'm sure they have played against each other on the ladder plenty of times, because Serral had periods where he stayed in Korea for a little bit. He would ladder a lot. He'd be rank 1 on the Korean server. Now, if you want to get rank 1, you have to go through guys like Stats. But in an official match, Stats versus Serral has never happened before, and that makes it perhaps even extra fun for us.
Certainly. This place is just packed to the rafters with fans of both players.
Wow, that's cool, by the way.
Yeah, really nice artwork there.
I wish I could draw. I can't. All right, so now in this grand final, I am expecting obviously a lot of Stargates coming out of Stats. That makes sense. But Maynard, one thing that I am very, very curious about is how this is going to be stylistically. In my opinion, what makes Serral so special in this matchup is that obviously he's really good at scouting, he's good at identifying, he has very strong late game, he's one of the few Zergs that actually knows how to deal with carriers properly. But the one thing that, in my opinion, sets Serral apart from the other Zergs is that he finds value out of Zerg units when most people say, Roaches are useless in this phase in the game, you can't do anything with them anymore, or Roach Hydra can never get the job done against his army. Serral is very good in splitting up his army, very good in sending off like 3 Roaches at a time, slowly but steady, getting some return of investment from those units and pulling further and further ahead. However, we call Stats the Shield of Ire, so he's supposed to be damn good in dealing with those minor multi-prong attacks that I'm expecting out of Serral. So stylistically, I really think this is a dream matchup in this matchup.
We've got the first 2 Adepts here of Stats looking for drone kills here, getting a creep tube to start things off with. Nope, quick cancel there. And the Adepts do get surrounded, but it looks like they're going to shade away to safety here, at least for now. Queen ready to battle away at that low hit point 1. Nice position here between the minerals for Stats, but no drone kills yet. Well, not that many, just the 1. There's the 2.
2 is not bad, actually. I mean, it's not the dream for Stats. If you lose your 2 Adepts, you don't really want to get only 2 drones. But it's, of course, 2 drones on top of 8 lings. And also, if you really want to pinpoint things, a drone that morphed into a Spore Crawler. So this was not a disaster for Stats, but it's also not great because Protoss kind of want to keep those Adepts alive because it helps Protoss going up to 3 bases a little bit easier.
So you think this could be a melee upgrade here for Serral as that Evo Chamber finishes?
Absolutely.
Haven't seen a Roaches jump just yet.
That's -1 Adept again. The last Adept is going to get surrounded as well, and this is bad news bear for Stats. I'm not sure where the Oracle is, but this is already very, very expensive for the Protoss. And Serral right now, if he wasn't happy before, he's absolutely very pleased at this point.
Yeah, the Oracle obviously will be able to deal with these lings, but it means it's using its beams over here and not on the other side of the map. The other Oracle also engaging Pulsar Beam here, using a lot of energy defensively. Turns out the shield of GSL has a couple chinks in it.
But the reason why this is so big is now 4 Adepts have gone down in this game already. So how is Stats supposed to secure his 3rd Nexus if he wants to be active with his Oracles on the other side of the map? He simply can't because he will barely have any units. And that's why that pickoff was really big. Of course, Serral drained some energy from those Oracles as well. And on top of that, the Scout was perfect. He spotted the Robo, he spotted the Twilight right when it went down. Very, very solid little run by there for the Finnish Wonder Boy.
Well, he picks up 1 Queen here, but there's already 1 still on the ground in the Spore Crawler as well. So he, oh wow! Last moment there, picks off that 2nd Oracle. 4 drones go down, but losing that Oracle does sting a bit for Stats.
Yep, because that is also damage that he wants to stay alive. Especially because it seems like he's going up to 8 gateways, or at least 7 gateways very, very quickly. He wants to apply some very serious pressure with Archons and Zealots. No point in necessarily calling it ultra all-in because we know Protoss like to sometimes still expand behind all of that. But with attacks like that, if you make 8 gateways, there is a lot of commitment. And including, if you're very committed, you want to keep those Oracles alive because that is extra damage that you can bring with this massive attack.
Well, the next level of tech isn't here for Serral yet, and he's still basically on Queen Ling. And when the Charge Lots and Archons come and knock him with Prism support, you're going to need something a little bit different. You can't just rely on Lings and Queens to be very, very effective. Maybe Serral knows where he wants to engage here, but Stats is going to have a very potentially scary timing here when Charge finishes. And he sees no 3rd Nexus as well.
Yeah, he knows pretty much at this point. This is 6 minutes into the game. A player like Stats is way too good to still be on 2 bases 6 minutes into the game. So now Serral knows if it's not 6 gates, it's 8, but it's something among those lines. But Queens can actually be very useful in these scenarios. And the fact that Stats left so many Zealots at home actually kind of surprises me, Maynard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe he was afraid of the Ling run by, but it feels like they'd be very, very powerful here to enforce this Archon position. Oh my god, so many Queens diving on that Prism, but the Charge Charlottes warp in. Both of them do. And the Archons with the Phoenix support as well, getting on top of these Queens.
Okay, the snipe is good, but then the Lynx actually did not get a cancel on the Nexus on the other side of the map, but these Lynx do have +1. So all that Serral needs to do is clean this up, and then he's in a phenomenal position as long as he doesn't lose any drones.
He's losing a lot of Queens, but yes, the drones is the main thing here. Oh, bit of a choke point there. Gets the surround on the Archons. Without the Prism, they will go down. Serral losing 4 drones. Oh, Stats isn't done yet. The charge lots from earlier coming up into his natural.
Wow.
Lots of drones starting to go down here. Stats is breaking through Serral's defenses.
Yep, these Zealots just ran from the other side of the map, but they really did add a little bit of extra damage as well. 15 drones. Stats is sending more Zealots. Who cares if he doesn't have a War Prism? And this really hurts for Serral, who had a 15-worker lead. Now suddenly he's down in workers, and it's very hard to produce units like Hydralisk if you end up losing that many drones, because Hydras are pretty expensive.
Well, he's got 8 on the way here, and like you said, very, very hard to afford more. Muscular augments on their way. They're going to help them out defensively as well. The Serral's trying to keep Stats looking in 2 directions here. The Lings are surrounding this Nexus, and if he kills it, that's great. But how does he stop this attack, Rotterdam? This looks really scary.
Yep, there are still a couple of Queens, of course, Hydras as well. Extra Zealots, and the Oracle going to try to save the Nexus, but it will go down. But does Serral have enough at home to deal with all these units from Stats?
The Spine Crawler slowed down Stats a little bit there. The War Prism's also taking a bit of damage. The Queens are starting to die, though. But he's giving a lot of room for these Hydras to get on top of these units. The Hydras did not go down, and he pushes it back.
Stats has a lot of money, so technically he could get extra Zealots. The problem is he doesn't want to put his Prism in a static mode at this point, because then the Hydras could take it down. It's so low on HP, Maynard.
This is tough without Banelings here. These charge lots are really, really effective here. And the Archon's doing tons of splash damage from the back end as well. But +2's just completed. These Lings do a lot more damage output, and there's still a good number of Hydras left over.
Yep, and on creep, Hydras do have a little bit of micro potential. What Serral wants to do here is pick off Zealots 1 by 1 and stay away from the Archons.
Oh, there's 4 Archons here with that War Prism. The Prism is so low, though. If you can get that Prism targeted down, the micro potential of Stats gets halved here. The Hydra's in a bit of a concave. Nice big off there micro from Stats. The Archon's doing lots and lots of damage. Serral's knocking down their shield slowly but surely, but the Hydras are also losing a lot of hit points.
Yeah, a lot of the Archons are very low on HP, though, so this is a little bit deceiving, but I do like where this is going for Stats, especially now because he's zoning those Hydras away from the other bases, and now it becomes very difficult for Serral. Can he somehow pick off these big Protoss units 1 by 1?
Well, he's going to have to now, but more charge loss going to give the Stats against one of those Archons. Good start here. Looks like the Archons are the Prism. 3 Archons going down. Big up there with those links for Serral, but the charge lots are back. They're getting up in his face again. 2 more Archons from the north joining in the fight. GG! Stats. What a game 1, man. He means business on stage, dude.
Wow.
He means business here.
Wow, that was incredibly well done. Really, really good micro on both sides.
And the bottom left currently down in the series, but I believe in his ability to fight back. He is!
NC Sports, Serral.
All right, Maynard, the tone, the pace is set for this grand finals. That first game, I think it was really fun. Of course, maybe not as long as we sometimes hope for. We didn't see any carriers or storm, but what we did see was some awesome micro being displayed on both sides. And that got very close, guys. And game 2 is starting off in a really funky way. Stats is taking his own goal, and at the same time, he's showing us that he potentially wants to cannon rush the gold base of Serral. Like, what are we watching, Maynard?
A bunch of drones here from Serral heading out to try and stop this rush from happening. Stats does have that forge finishing up, and it looks like a cannon's about to be dropped. Does he go for it now that the drones are here?
I'm not sure.
Looks like he pulls back, at least for now.
Well, Serral sent his drones back. Maybe he did that a little too early. No, the other drones can't really help out. Okay, he still has a couple of drones on the right side. That probe starts to work on the drone from Serral as well. Serral's going to react with Spine Crawlers. That is very risky because these cannons went up quite a bit quicker, and that cannon on the left side will absolutely finish off.
It certainly will. And that one that the observer's just showing us right now, Stats is putting a lot of resources into this rush here. And Serral potentially lose 1 or 2 of these Spine Crawlers before they're actually finished and helping him out here. It's a strong start for Stats.
Absolutely, but if the Spine Crawlers finish off, then Serral could still be safe here. And this is obviously a very big investment for Stats as well. But now it's 2 cannons already working on these spines, and the spines are still not done. I like where this is going for Stats, and I think Serral's in a little bit of trouble.
Target firing that hurt cannon to make sure it goes down, and it will. There's a very high hit point Spine Crawler here that is going to finish and help out, but now it's 3 cannons, Rotterdam. Serral's going to get that spike roller out of there. The Queen, definitely not enough here. Serral, oh no.
You gotta give up this base, Serral, at this point. Unless he's gonna try to clean it up with the Queen. All the Zerglings, he's making like 10, 12 links. If Serral doesn't take care of these cannons immediately, right now, the game is pretty much over because Serral's putting all of his eggs in one basket, and that basket is keeping this hatchery alive.
Yeah, oh man, they may have potentially a transfusion here on that Queen in a second. The Lings are coming in to help out. Ooh, spike roll a little bit too close there.
You gotta go for it, Serral.
Oh, it's in range of the cannon, getting so low. In come the Lings for Serral, this is his last charge.
He's gonna go for the pylon, I guess. Is he going for the pylon or the cannons? I'm not sure. Pylon it is. Will he be able to take out this pylon?
Getting so close. The Lings are losing so many hit points. They can't.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. That's it. Stats. The rush works here. And Serral just one or two Lings did not have what it takes to get rid of that pylon there in the end. One or two Lings would have made the difference.
Just like that, Stats is up 2-0 in the grand finals, and it feels like we haven't even truly started.
Short games, one ending in a more standard push fashion, the other one Stats busting out a cannon rush that barely worked. I mean, that pylon was super low on HP. There's so many little decisions that have to be made in a moment like that, and it seems like Stats had that very well mapped out and handled it beautifully. So let's see if Serral can take the mistakes made in game 1 and 2 and hammer together a better style of play moving into game 3.
You know, it was still pretty close in these games, so I'm not at all counting Serral out. A lot of people are even saying, like, oh, Serral's just going to wipe up his Stats right off the floor, right? And even Serral's like, oh, I'll 4-2 him. Well, you got a 4-0 from here, Serral. So it is definitely an uphill battle, but it is doable. It is not like Serral is playing poorly today, as we've already seen.
Yeah, we have not had a super epic late game here. Although maybe that's what Stats wants. I mean, winning with that push in game 1, doing a cannon rush in game 2, and now going into game 3, we have a pylon hidden in the upper right corner of the map with a Stargate being made. So maybe Stats is really saying, I actually don't want to play a textbook game against this guy.
Yeah, I really like what Stats is doing here. This is very tricky, especially when you're up 2 games already. If Serral does not figure this out, he's going to be in a ton of trouble. And that's why Stats right now is making a Stalker. If you see a Stalker, you can't scout fully for the Stargate, and the Stalker is what you get if you don't get a Stargate.
Exactly. So not exactly the most efficient way to go about things, but it can be very misleading. Players of this caliber, they can look at 1 or 2 things and usually glean so much from it. So,
and that's what he's counting on.
Exactly. He knows that Serral is a good player, and he's hoping that Serral will follow the wrong build algorithm.
That's
and
right.
End up in a very uncomfortable place in this game.
Well, especially because he's already been thrown off a bit, losing both those games in those tight fashions. Now, Spores haven't been started yet, Tasteless. This Oracle is going to be finishing up. It's going to be able to get there a lot quicker than they normally would from your main base. Let's see here. The rally point makes me think this could possibly be waiting for 2 Oracles.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so there is a Spore starting in the main, but yeah, a lot of times if you don't see the Oracle immediately, even if you didn't expect him to get an Oracle because, you know, they get the Stalker early on, so you've already been duped in that way. You definitely don't think there's any Oracles coming now because it hasn't appeared yet. Yeah. But to have the 2 come abruptly late, they can, of course, combo together, shoot down workers with 1 hit.
Yeah.
We got to see if Serral's going to be ready for this.
Well, with 2 Oracles flying in at the same time, he will get 5-6 drones easily. There's only a single Queen up there. Serral's not ready for this. Just the Spore and the Queen. Let's see how he does. Okay. Wow, insta-pull there.
Yeah, actually really nicely done. Whoa, is he going to get this other Oracle? He does. 1 goes down, only 3 drones killed. But now with the Oracle over here at the natural, they were able to get off enough kills to make that pretty damn viable. But now with a bruised Oracle, it's going to be pretty tough here for Stats to ever try to dive back in. And the Lings have already found the Stargate and the pylon.
Definitely reasonable defense considering the situation that occurred. Serral was not ready for Oracles, you know, with only that 1 Spore. And to kill just 5 and lose your Oracle, you know, it's still 5 drones, but it didn't go as well as Stats was hoping. Stats was hoping he was going to be able to run away with the game by now.
Yeah, so very well handled there by Serral, considering you had to have instant reactions for a situation like that. Now, the Stargate is going to be gone. It's at least not going to be an option for a little while. So what you see air-wise is what you're going to get. for Stats. We'll see if he tries to add one in later on. But there is a Warp Prism coming out as well as a third Nexus.
Yeah, he's going for those Archon drops that kind of keep Serral back, make him play honest while he gets that third base up. Serral, of course, going into Roaches and Roach speed, so he should be safe against this, not take too much damage, hopefully.
Okay, the Phoenix kind of stuck right now in between the second base and the third base. But I feel like Stats could still play a pretty clean game from here. But we really want to see, okay, how is Serral going to make this go into late game if that's what he's planning on doing?
Well, right now, you know, just getting those Roaches out to defend against this incoming Archon drop and do his best defending. That's going to be a good way to do it, right? As long as you don't take too much damage, start your upgrades, keep your drone count high, then you can get into that later game. And look at this. I love this play by Serral. He scouts that there's a double Robo coming. You know, that's smart by Stats because there's Roaches on the way, but he's making a Spire here.
This is really interesting. We just saw the Archon drop come in, do a little bit of damage here. Now, the location that the Spire is hidden, it's going to be pretty tricky for Stats to actually scout it, or at least cross back over it. By the way, the Stargate's about to be eliminated as well. As Stats is, if he can't kill workers, he'll try to kill creep tumors or anything else he can find here on the map.
And he's going to be able to actually get quite a bit of that, get that Overlord as well. But this Spire, he's not going to be able to scout it. There's one Phoenix on the map. He's killed the Stargate. It's not the easiest thing to counter a group of mutas that pop out of nowhere.
It's very true. So right now, Serral hoping to blindside Stats. Stats is doing so far typical tactics here for mid-game in a PvZ. He wants to fly out with these Mutalisks, and boom, suddenly Protoss might be thrown off their footing. I wonder, though, the setup of the base here, the number of Roaches that Stats is seeing, can any of that possibly telegraph what's going on? It would be pretty tough to see, but, you know, players like Stats, they're very good at reading situations like this.
Well, generally, you'll make a decent amount of Roaches like we see and then get into Hydralisks. He hasn't seen that yet. The Phoenix is actually flying by. This is an important moment right now. 10 mutas are about to hatch, but the Phoenix will see the Spire.
Okay, unless Stats' screen is not over it. Okay, he should most certainly see it then. He'll get confirmation then that it is going to be Mutas coming out, but it's only going to be a few seconds before he'll be able to react here. The Roaches are also coming out across the map. We need to see if there's going to be enough defense here. Remember, the Stargate was taken out. You can't just make more Phoenixes here. And now the Warp Prism's taking some damage. The Warp Prism goes down, and the Mutas continue to head northbound and attack these vulnerable probes.
Definitely a great pickoff right there. They go after the probes. There is a single shield battery in here. It heals up some of the probes. 3 go down for now. He gets the Oracle as well.
Oh, this is beautifully done. He's taken out that Oracle. There's a lot of Immortals here on the low ground, but the Mutas definitely put Stats on his back foot.
There's a huge amount of Immortals out right now. Still a lot of Roaches being made as well. I'm a bit nervous for Serral in that regard. Yeah, his army is gigantic, but with this amount of Immortals, it might not count for much.
You're totally right, Artosis. It seems to be a pretty lopsided amount of units to have, considering that Immortals are just so good against Roaches. But these Mutas are still flying through here, stopping probes from mining. It's going to allow for Serral to buy more time overall to come up with a solution. By the way, Serral's already maxed out. We're just now hitting the 9-minute marker.
Yeah, a lot of Roaches, a lot of Ravagers out right now. Phoenix is being produced by Stats. He doesn't really need them that much. The Mutas still doing some harassment, but here we go. This is what really matters here. The Mutas come in and set off all the shields of these Immortals. A great move by Serral.
Yeah, Serral handling this beautifully. He's coming forward, hitting hard. The Archons and Immortals are kiting back, but these numbers of Roaches are insane.
Oh, he backs up into his shield battery, trying to warp in more units here as well, but Serral, with so many units, cutting right through the Immortals, right through the Archons, and right into the third base.
You can see now it's just a few Stalkers here trying to help defend, and these Phoenixes trying to buy a little bit more time. Serral maxing out once again with Stats at 85 supply. I don't believe that Stats can recover.
No, it doesn't look like it. The Phoenix is being worth so much right here, but the damage is being dealt. More Zealots being warped in. He's trying to stop this flow of Roach Ravager, but I'm not sure he'll be able to.
Those are the last 2 Immortals that Stats can make until he gets that Robo powered up. Meanwhile, the third base is taking too much damage. I just think there's no way in the world that Stats can recover.
Yeah, this is very difficult right now with those few Immortals he has. He's trying to get some more out. Here come the Roaches going after those Immortals. There's just too many, and GG is called. The Zerg Swarm triumphs, and Serral gets his name on the board.
Okay, that was pretty sick. That's what we were talking about with Serral. He knows how to win when you give him all the right tools economically. He also knows how to engage better than anybody we've really seen with a maxed out army. We saw those mutas get in there, ping all of the Immortals,
yes,
and then the Roaches, which are normally countering the, the Immortals, which are normally countering the Roaches. They don't have enough defense, enough health to actually hang on and sustain, and Stats is batted out of game 3. Serral getting his first win.
You know, a huge play with those mutas for certain. And Stats, you know, feeling like he needed to really counter the mutas, didn't have enough units to hold on. So, I mean, it was a great win by Serral, no doubt about that. It seemed like a good opening by Stats, but he has lost game 3. We go on to set 4, Darkness Sanctuary. This is a gigantic map.
Stats has had a little bit of unorthodox play, trying to hide that Stargate. Serral deflecting the surprise attack beautifully, and then teching up, throwing him off, and winning that game. Will Stats try something crazy, or is he going to do a more standard approach? We're going to find out now as our game is loaded up. Stats versus Serral in the GSL versus the World Finals.
Fight! Either you rise or you fall!
Bottom right, in the red, our Protoss player. He is
Splice Stats.
in the upper right, in the blue, from Finland, our Zerg player. He is
NC Sports Serral.
Just magnificent macro play out of in that game, finding that Stargate, strategically shifting into Mutalisks, knowing there can't be a bunch of Phoenixes to counter them, setting off those shields on the Immortals like you pointed out, Tasis. What a big move that is as well. Everything there planned out so, and the thing is, there's some risk involved in that. He's going mass Roach. If you don't do a big move like set off those shields, the Immortals are going to shred you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's not simply he made a bunch of stuff and then he attacked it and the other guy had less stuff and somebody played a good econ game. No, that was a fatality, what he did right there.
Yeah.
He came in and dismantled each part of the army until all of a sudden Stats was swamped with Roaches. There was no way to survive that. And the lead up to that is what makes Serral so impressive. But look, we've already seen Stats win 2 games. He's still in the lead. The question is, how many more tricks does Stats have up his sleeve? Or is Stats, who's generally considered to be a standard defensive player, will he actually try to take that and risk that versus a player like Serral? Well, because we have several more games ahead of us.
Yeah, and he's got a big range of things that he can try to do here. Now, Darkness Sanctuary in particular, like Stats can play a long macro game here if he wants. I guess the problem at that point is you get your 4 bases as Protoss, and that's no problem at all. You can get 4 bases and defend easily, but that's about it. Taking the 5th base on this map against Zerg can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, you make a good point, Artosis. Also, when you look on the map, they're both sharing the right side of the map. They're on the east side over here, so Zerg can kind of expand away from the Protoss if we go into a super late game, which Serral might try to do. The Protoss it's a little bit more boxy for him.
Yeah. We'll see what he wants to go for in a moment here. Getting that Phoenix first to clear out Overlords, try to make Serral suspect all the different things that could be occurring. Got to play a little bit paranoid as a Zerg player. Once you don't have a scout on that Protoss base, they have so many powerful moves that can come out and ruin your day. You'll see the gases go down in the natural. That's kind of what you expect anyways at this point. Or will it be something like Glaives, Archon drop? What are we going to see?
Yeah, now we saw earlier on in Game 3 the usage of the Stalker to come out, which usually tells you you're not going to see the build that we initially saw coming out here from Stats. You can definitely use different builds before to add in as red herrings for builds in the future when you're playing a best of 7 like that. So I'm very curious to see what route Stats is going to take this game, as we already have a Robo coming, as well as a Twilight Council.
Yeah, it really does look like Archon drop once again, and this is just kind of a solid standard play from Protoss, and someone like Stats, you really expect to see this move out of a lot, because it allows him to transition into just a very normal and safe later game. But Serral's defense is amazing against Archon drops. He really doesn't lose much. He loses a couple drones, a couple roaches, and then you're...
Oh! Okay, he takes out the Oracle.
Yeah, that's a big kill.
Wow, that's going to be a little bit frustrating for Stats. You know, the Oracle, it's not just used to try to kill workers early on. You do want to use that to try to tag armies as well as scout for other expansion. I mean, the Oracle is what you're relying on in a lot of ways to try to keep an eye on the Zerg. Otherwise, the Zerg can get out of control and tech into whatever direction or expand into whatever direction they want. There's still a Phoenix, but you need to have something over there to spot, especially multiple locations.
And not just that, like, it helps you take your third base, because you're out flying around with most of your units in a warp prison. The Archons are expensive, so you know, sometimes when link counterattacks come, that Oracle's very important in cleaning them up.
Okay.
So it was a big pickoff.
Warp Prism is out. We're going to see some Archons morphed over here. Serral spots it, and we'll know the exact moment this comes in. But knowing is not the entirety of what you need. It's going to be control and good decision-making from here. And with the setup that Sats has down here at this third base location, it's probably not going to get overwhelmed by links, even though Serral does that to a lot of other players.
Well, 10 roaches on the way right now. The first things first, he's got to deal with the Archon drop that's incoming. How much damage will the Archon drop get? Not a whole lot, obviously. We see the Phoenix going up and seeing a ton of Queens getting ready to try to intercept that Warp Prism. But Stats got charge already. It's almost done upgrading, and Warp's in a big round of Zealots here.
Okay, is he going to commit? The roaches are now out, watching to see where this Warp Prism's going to go. A lot of times you have to stalk the Warp Prism pretty heavily. We also have an Overseer coming in over here. Now, these Zealots are still hidden down there in the bottom right. He may be saving those for later on.
Yeah, you know what? I think that this is the type of scenario where we're going to see Stats try to either flank a bunch of roaches or maybe draw the roaches somewhere with the Archons and then counter somewhere else with the Zealots.
Okay, there's Queens over here doing a lot of damage to this Warp Prism. Okay, mostly just shields taken off over there. And the Hatchery's going to come down, but here come the Zealots. He may be able to surprise this before the Serral can cancel it.
Ooh, a big move here by Stats. He's trapped a whole ton of units. And look at that, those Archons coming out and hitting the roaches again. A bunch of them do make it out, but he cancels that fourth.
Okay, that was beautifully done. The roaches are continuing to try to draw away these Zealots, but now it's going to be Stats trying to pounce on the natural expansion.
A lot of Queens in here really helping out. Transfusions going down all over the place. The Archons getting very low on shields. It looks like they do get juggled magnificently. More Zealots being warped in here as well.
This is some of the best Archon juggling I've seen. He's continuing to press through here. It looks like Serral's position may have been broken. The roaches all interrupted right now with the rally point. Zealots continuing to tank damage as long as these two Archons are here. It's going to be very difficult for Serral to hold this.
Some great micro by Serral up here on the top. Those drones on a stop position with the Queens, but they do drill through here. More and more roaches coming out. Can Serral hold on?
This Archon is just not dying. The roaches are coming forward. The Zealot number is thinning out. Queens now trying at the Warp Prism to stop the abuse of that Archon juggling.
Oh my God, and at the end of the day, Stats is forced back. And Serral sitting here on 66 drones. That's a healthy three-base economy.
I know, considering the fact that Stats was in the middle of all of Zerg's territory. It was so close to where drones could have been hit. Again, that control with the Archon and the Warp Prism was totally insane. But yeah, Artosis, it bounces off of Serral.
And look, Serral instantaneously is into the next part of his tech already, right? Stats, he's thinking about how many roaches that he's seen in production, okay? He's making 2 Immortals at a time. He's making some shield batteries, getting some upgrades on his forge. You can't blame him for that. But Serral doesn't care about any of that. He's making some additional Hydras, and he's teching to Broodlords.
Now, with that Spire on the way. This is another interesting tech path after he's pushed Stats back. Oh, hold up. Okay, this Phoenix is going to spot it. I was about to say, knowing this kind of tech would be super important, but Stats being very on top of it. Despite losing that Oracle early on, he does have a Phoenix to try to check or something like that.
Yeah. All right, so just seeing a Hive and a Spire is so important at this point in the game. He's actually making another Phoenix, so he might have a little bit of scaredness about those mutas in the previous game, right? He might have a little bit of leftover anxiety, but it's not for Mutalisks. Like, definitely we see Serral taking up into Broodlords. He's going to want those to battle back Archons, to battle back Psystorm, and to kill off these powerful Immortals.
Okay, the Roaches are coming down now. We need to see some more defense here from Stats. A Warp in here to try to buy some time. Those Immortals will need to get over there to try to help defend, because right now, of course, Roaches are going to beat Zealots pretty easily.
Yeah, they plow right through those, as well as the Adepts that were left over from the beginning of the game. And just 3 Immortals going to chase them away at this point. Stats can actually leave those there and make a couple shield batteries, and everything should be fine.
Yeah, he's basically keeping a pin right now. If the Protoss tries to leave, those Roaches will run in. If the Immortals chase the Roaches any further, the Roaches just go further away to the bottom left side of the map. I mean, this is a huge map, and Serral definitely wants to exploit that.
Now, this is really interesting, Tasteless. Look, Stats is actually still making some Phoenixes. So has he read this wrong? Did he not? Maybe he only saw the Spire and not the Hive, and he's really thinking about the last game?
I actually think you could be right.
Yeah, that has to be it, right? Because he just flew in a hallucination, so that kind of shows that he's not exactly sure it's gone. Seeing that many Hydras, you know it's not Mutas. And the thing is, he keeps making Immortals. The Immortals are the worst unit in the game against a Broodlord.
You're totally right. By the way, Serral once again maxing out here. He's going to come across the map, and we still have this tech from Serral that has yet to be really revealed here. And Stats does seem to be gathering together an unusual unit combination based off the direction, the trajectory of what this game should be looking like a few minutes from now. And with these Hydras here, okay, hold up. There's pushes on both sides. Now, you can make a pretty big arc there to defend that location, but Serral's already breached this location here. The Immortals are being pushed away from the shield batteries, and it looks like they will be going down as well.
Yeah, he's got to do that recall. He brings back the rest of his army, and Serral is out of there in a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, getting his Broodlords at home, Stats' tech up into either Tempest or Carriers is a little bit slow. So we're really going to need to see him chrono boost out a few Tempests to deal with these Broodlords.
Serral really commanding the game there by taking out those Immortals and escaping before the recall could complete, pulling Stats' army back into a defensive position. Now, the expansions that Protoss has, that's kind of what Protoss is going to get for a while here. It's going to be tough for Protoss to try to expand to the bottom left quadrant of the map. And already, Serral is trying to amp up the pressure by having one possible counterattack right there on the bottom of the map, and then having a push here that we're seeing now with these Broodlords over here in the middle of the map.
Oh man, his Stats cannot be happy with this right now. His anti-air is so poor, he's still making Immortals at this point. The Archons are mostly what he has, and a few Phoenixes. Look at that, they even get picked off. Serral trying to counter. Oh no, not a counter right there into that many Immortals though.
Okay, he's got to be careful. Some storms go down to buy time, but the Broodlords are going to press forward. One of the Archons is taken out, and this Nexus is getting very, very close to being destroyed.
Some storms go down. Oh, very good storms. Oh, if he can get into those with the Archons now, he might be able to pick some off, but some transfusions go down. The Broodlords mostly make it out alive.
He's getting closer and closer. He's regrouping. The creep is getting almost to the point where it's going to be adjacent to the Nexus. The Hydras are going to come in here and do a little bit more damage. We don't have enough storms coming down for now. One nice one there on the Broodlords. Serral needs to back up.
Some fantastic size storms, no doubt. The Immortals coming over, hitting that group of Roach Hydra as well. Uh-oh, a couple more Archons getting picked off. That is an important moment. Also, Stats losing this base, it looks like, trying to back up and losing a huge amount of his army as well.
This is insane. The army is retreating, and Serral is not stopping. He's still maxed out with plenty of minerals and gas to boot. He's closing forward. We do have a mothership coming in here to try to aid in holding off this push here from Serral.
Well, with the mothership, I guess he does cloak, and we don't really see any detectors here right now, but I mean, there's nothing that really hits air either.
As Stats tries to push back, Serral decides it's time to retreat, regroup, and max out once again. I mean, after all, Stats is on 3 bases. Serral is sitting very comfortably here.
Well, and he turns around, battles those Immortals for a second. Okay, he's making a Tempest right now in a bunch of gateways. So Stats gonna try to get his army back together. I mean, he needs anti-air so badly at this point.
He really does. You can see Serral's trying to edge in. He's looking for an opening. He's actually bringing spine crawlers and spore crawlers to set up a wall here. He wants to take this fight right here, right now, before this Nexus can finish. And Oracle comes in to attack that, instantly canceling the Nexus, as Stats must respect the unit combination that Serral has.
Yeah, this is so hard to engage into right now for Stats. He has a Tempest out. He's making a second one right now. But overall, this army's so much stronger for Serral. The Tempest starts to attack a little bit, but that's a ton of Hydras. It has to keep its distance. Oh, great Psystorms going down on the main army, though.
Yeah, doing a lot of damage. I don't think we've caught it on camera yet, but there is a base that Stats is trying to take in the bottom left. And with all the attention here in the middle, it's possible that Serral doesn't notice that in time. It's very important that Serral keeps pressure on here, but has eyes everywhere for any hidden bases. And you can already see Stats is doing a good job. He's sent 4 Zealots up there to take out another base that Serral was trying to acquire.
That's part of why Stats is world class. You have to think of things like that. If Serral gets a 5th, you're extra dead. Uh-oh, a huge abduct. The mothership goes down in a matter of seconds.
Okay, some storms coming down here. The Broodlord count is beginning to get smaller and smaller, but Serral wants to keep coming through here. He takes out the Tempest, nicely done.
Oh my god, a huge amount of damage on both sides here, but the Immortals fighting with Broodlings all over them right now. Some Stalkers being warped in. That is some last-ditch effort to take down those Broodlords, but he might be able to as he battles back the main army.
You can see the fight is continuing on here. There are Immortals as well as Archons fighting back. It looks like he might be able to reclaim this position, but there's too many Hydras. They take it out, and GG, we're even 2-2.